Even though I know this is a painting class, I'm going to be using Conte. I'm actually going to lecture and demonstrate the importance about compositions and then also how to establish the value relationship, how to create the interesting compositions, what you should look for, the gesture within the compositions. All those are very crucial, before you pick up that paintbrushes. Because once you pick up paintbrushes, all this knowledge I'm going to be doing here is going to apply. And on top of that, well, you have to think about color mixing, color temperature, color intensity, right? So I want to make sure all the drawing aspect, the design aspect, to kind of be, to have that under your belt. So when you're dealing with colors, like I say, just need to focusing on the color relationships, the paint applications, because what you are doing here are basically taking this black and white and pretty much transferring that into the color. So you need to make sure the value, the edges, even the understanding gesture will help you to make decisions where you want to apply the brush strokes, the direction of the brush stroke, how you want to design the shapes. Okay, so let's start from some of the fundamentals about drawings. Then we will proceed that into the painting later. Okay, so I have a model that's selected here, and we're gonna explore a few different poses. And I'm not the pose that I select is not going to be a super action pose, because usually when you paint figures, especially in the studio settings, they're not going to be able to hold a off balance poses for a long period of time. So the pose that I pick is more suitable for for painting scenarios. Okay, so usually what I'll do, okay, actually when I draw on the canvas, it's going to be a little bit looser than what I'm showing you here, because when I paint, I can actually I have the freedom to paint over the drawings. I will come back in and try to block in the color relationships. So I don't want the drawings kind of taking over that. But what now I'm going to show you my drawing probably going to feel a little more more tighter than I'm actually going to do on the canvas. And so, but I will explain all the process and so when we started working on the painting, when I repeat myself, and you guys will understand, what I'm talking about. Okay, so now I have a picture plane. Okay, in this case, this is 24 by 36. We were going to be working on 16 by 20 canvas. Doesn't matter what sizes that you use, but you probably want to have a plan how you want to compose your image on this picture plane, right? So it's not like this different in quick sketch. Usually a quick sketch, you start from the head and just kind of do, and then just kind of expand it out, and whatever the feet ends is going to be where the figure is going to be. But for something more constructive, we can't really do that. We need to have a plan, right? For example, if I do want the whole figure to fit on this page, I might want it to, what I call to block in the frame, almost like a blueprint. In this case, for the pose like this, so now you can see, but kind of based on this kind of diamond shape layout, and that's what the pose gave me. I'm looking for the corners, like the top of the head, the fist, the other fist, and his foot. You can pick out those those corners, and they give you that main design of the pose. And then you can shift. Like I say, if you don't like where the position is, where the position is, I can still move them. Okay, you look at this, you also compare the negative space as well, not just a positive space, right? So, and also in this way, it gives me also an idea of the major relationships, how the head to this hand drop lower than this, how this in relationship to that foot. So it helped me to think more graphically. Usually when I do this, if I'm using charcoal, I tend to hold my charcoal pretty far back, so allow me to draw with my arm, and so help me to draw more linear, more straighter lines, because I don't want it gets too curved. Okay. Okay. So let's get started. Again, I'm gonna just block the major relationship and the large shapes, and I'll explain more when we move on. But again, that big eye socket, I don't worry about the pupil of the eyes. I'll be aware of the relationship of the eyebrow to the ear because I'm looking underneath him. And when things kind of gets out of hand, look for straights. Like for example, like the sideburn is kind of pretty straight. I can use that. I can use that to kind of get a sense of the alignments, right? And how much the face versus how much back of the cranium. I got this nice angles coming down from this ear, like this. So I can use that every time. What I like to do is I like to look for diagonal relationship. Even those are always kind of diagonal relationship. So that's why, to be able to see those relationships, I need corners. So the only way to get corners is when two plane meets, right? So you get that, you get the apex. And that's also a reason that I don't really like to use round shape. Although if I'm doing like very quick sketches, like 3-minute quick sketches, I might probably tend to be more rounded because we're looking for a different outcome. But if I want to establish a little bit more accuracy, I prefer to chisel out your drawings. Like again, diagonal of the mustache comes back. Again, all diagonal relationships. Sometimes I do kind of draw through to get a sense of the overall cranium, the overall volume, right? Again, but when I paint, I don't do that. For paint, I don't do that. But for drawing, like I said, it can help me to get a sense of how to search for that proportions. Okay. Also be aware of the contour because contour overall, it's what's the people are going to read, and also what people will follow with the contour. Even that how that chin transition into this neck and it swings out into the pectoralis and into the arm. So it's to me, I want to be concerned about how I want to carry the viewers, almost like a car ride. How I want to carry that ride. Okay, so that means again, this is the gestures. Swing this way, right? The neck back here might swing over this directions, but I'm always concerned every line I apply, every shape that I apply, where it goes, where the gesture of the shape goes. It's not just a shape, it's a gesture, what the gesture of the shape that's taking me to. Some of the area I'll keep it loose first, and I can come back and refine it. I want to get that center lines because I want to make sure to get that gesture, the tilt of the body. Look for the nipple relationship. See, I noticed it's more straight here, and usually that happens. I know the other side going to be more angle, more tilt. So look at this distance right here. Again, here's upper arm. That's where the upper arm breaks, where the bicep end and the lower arm begin. Again, you can also use that diagonal and line out diagonally to see about where his waist, where his ribcage end and the waist begins. So now I'm going to get to that knee, and then compare that knee to the hand. Again, I will make sure I still has that kind of diamond kind of idea of the the design. Again, I'm more concerned about the silhouettes because there's two legs. I can just look at one unified shapes. Okay. My drawing is somewhat loose, somewhat structures. Means I want to keep loose enough so I can feel the gestures, the flow, the relationship. But at the same time, I still want to know which each shapes begin and which each shape end, how they fit to each other. Okay. Now I'm gonna kind of continue that and refine some of the connections or refine some of the shape to see if I can push even more of that, to give a little more of attitude to this pose. So right now, at this time, I still feel like it still feels a little bit stiff than how I want it to turn out. So I'll see if I can, give a little more kick to it. So I'll start from the head first. Okay, overall, again, like I said, always be aware where the gesture flow. To me, I feel like it's kind of flow this way. At least the top portion flow back. The bottom, this is chin recede, might flow backward, but then the top, to me, is flow back to his cranium. So I want to make sure that's how I want to design it. Again, I got a few things going on. I got this the side temple of the hair that hook over out, kind of hook up like this, which is it helps to show where that side plane, again, the side plane of the forehead. And right below that, I got a triangle or a hook shape right here. And what then you can notice right below that we got something more, more vertical. So you got a nice difference between a nice sharp triangle or more exciting triangle shapes versus something a little more calm and more subtle, right? And I like that. I like the difference. I always like to mix different attitude of the shapes. So again, the detail can be added within once you have the larger eye socket in this case. So this is how I will paint too. It's like I will paint the planes and the structure first. If I want to paint the mouth, I might paint the muzzle first. I want to paint the eyes, I might paint the eye socket first. I want to paint the nose, I might paint the planes of nose first. Before adding the nostrils or the lips itself or the eyeball, because all those stuff are sitting within the skull, the eye socket, or the boxy nose, or the muzzle that the lip sits over. So instead, just paint on the surface, which probably ends up looking flat. I'll paint the ball underneath, or paint the socket, and then I'll drop the eye inside that socket. To me, that way it fits better. Look at what I just did there. I'm not sure if I really liked it, but if I don't, I'll correct it later. This shape right here, which is his forehead shadow, which looks like, I'm going to zoom in, looks like coming down like this, step forward, and comes down. So all this actually is his forehead, right? And then really quickly turn to his corner of his forehead, and then the hair on the temple line that swing forward like this. Again, that is here. But anyway, so that, again, this suggests the front. No, that's good. That actually suggests the front of forehead. And also, if you notice the shape that I did here, the shape looks like this. And that shape itself also, besides suggest the front of the forehead, it also suggests a directions going back this way. Or you can come forward this way. Either way, it has a directions. That direction taking us over his corner of the forehead and drop back into this temple side of the hair. The part I was saying that I'm not sure if I want to keep it or later I might change it, because if you look, let's just say this shape leads our eye back into this hair, comes in here. And when I just look at this light part right here, to me, I almost feel like I'm trapped in there, almost like it's a, almost got something like this, like a dome, and my eyes kind of trapped in there. I don't know if I like that, but now I might just leave it because I don't want to think too much at this point because I have a lot to do. If I come back, if I don't like it, I'll change it. But just let you guys know how powerful the gesture and the shape design would do, and or I can leave this here like this. I might move somewhere else, change somewhere else, so I can still continue to create the flow. But again, let's look at that later. Because I already used that brown, so I have to kind of use a brown to make the value feels a little bit more cohesive. Otherwise, it feel like the brown would just kind of stood up by itself, and that won't look good. You can see how powerful just the dark shapes versus the light. And then, one of the things you're going to notice, you can't see me when I turn away from the camera. I always squint my eyes. And squinting your eyes is a great technique to help you to separate the light and dark mass. When you look at things, when your eyes are wide open, you see all the details, you see all the unnecessary detail at the beginning process. Okay, all we need at this point, squint your eyes, minimize all the details. All you see is just a dark, which is shadow, light, separations. Right? That's all we want. So you're gonna see me, and you can just see probably a lot of artists squint their eyes, and that just, like I said, it's a really helpful kind of method to do. Angle, straight, angle, shorter angle, probably longer angle, here you go. Make everything a little different than the others. You can push it diagonal. Like for example, I could afford to drop that ear a little bit lower. Just feel like we're looking more from underneath. Can't really see much, just see big shadows, so I'm just gonna kind of pick some of the dark spot, and I just kind of just drop it. I don't care the details, okay? So I'm just gonna do that. Let me move on. I feel like I'm spending a little too much time than I wanted to on this head, but at least I get through some of my points. Okay, let's move somewhere else. The next important thing is how, since I already got a lot of stuff going on the face, I want to make sure everything still works, cohesively. So now I got this dark shape with the beard flow into this shapes. Step down, step back up, step down, go into this big drop right here, where the pit of the neck. drop down, rise up, comes back over to the pectoralis. And that's what, again, this is what excites me. It's just this such an interesting response of shapes and gestures. You got more angular shape. You got shape that drop to gravity. You got shape that's, that fighting against gravity. Shape goes around behind the structures. It's just, to me, it's very exciting. But, if you don't get that crazy like what I just did, overall what that is, it's just this, okay? Besides squinting your eyes, drawing through, move your arm. Also, it's a great method for finding the flow, finding the gesture, finding the proportions, finding the rhythm, right? See, the shadow itself will have. Look, the shadow itself has a flow too. It's flow. It's flow. Depends how you want to play it. You can play it a little more wild because this actually gets a little wild. It becomes a slightly comic-y, slightly animated. Or you want to keep it calm or chisel a little bit, then you're looking a little more realistic. Again, depends on the outcome that you want. I think it's good to able to do both because you always want to put some of your interpretation into your work. Let me step back because my drawing is pretty big. And if you do paint large painting too, make sure you always step back. And that's why I'm more of a standing painter than a sitting down painter. Some people can paint sitting down. So for some reason it never really works for me well. And now because I just can't look at my painting so close and I will screw up my proportions. Unless today, if I'm at the later stage, which I'm at the rendering stage, which using the red sable, when I have brushes, if I'm at the rendering stage, then I have to sit down because it gets kind of tedious and it gets, your back is sore and stuff because you have to be very focused. But most of the time, I would say 95% of the time, I'll be standing because I'm always, right now, what intrigued me of a piece of art is not the rendering part of it. I appreciate the rendering, but I'm more intrigued by the design of it, how the artist designs composition, how he keeps things more graphic and keep other things more three-dimensional, or how he play with the graphic design of it. And that's something that's more intrigued me. So I'll make sure my designs, it's interesting. And that means you have to step back, you have to look at the overall